for sharing today.
Thank you for that wonderful guided meditation, Desi. And I'd like to welcome everyone back today on our topic of inquiry. And today we have 3 presentations. I'm just going to go on our popular list. I have Isabel down first. So, Isabel.
Okay. Shared screen. Where is it? Oh, man. Sorry, I'm having a hard time finding the with this finding where my it doesn't tell me where it is. Sorry.
That's okay.
How do I find it? How do I find my file?
So you pressed share screen, Isabel?
Yeah, I did. I'm looking for
when you press.
I'm looking for my files. I have things on my desktop, but it's not there. Sorry. Oh boy. I don't even know where it's went.
That's okay.
Okay, let me try again, but I just don't know where. It just doesn't give me where I can find it. Finder, okay. Okay, I got it. Are you seeing anything? Are you seeing anything on the screen? Grace?
We see your desktop.
You see my desktop?
Yeah.
But I have something on the screen. You don't see like just a black screen?
Yeah, off to the side.
Oh, to the side?
Oh. Okay, now I see something. Now we can see the a list of files.
No, so I have something. I already chose the file, but it's not doing it.
Double click it.
Oh.
I'm gonna start again. Okay.
Sure.
I go to the file. I find the file and I click on it, and it opens it up. And you don't see a black screen with because it's on. That's what's
Isabel, we close it one more time. I'll stop the sharing. Hold on a second. So Isabel, what you probably want to do is open the file up first, the video. Don't share just yet. Open up the file. Is it?
It is. It's on my desk. Where did it go? I just don't understand what's
Okay.
going on here. Oh, because I have several desktops open.
Sure. Okay.
Oh man. Okay. That's the thing. It's on. That's what's going on. It's opening it at different
I see.
desktop.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if you know how Macs work, but I can't. Okay, I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna close this.
Sure. Yeah, closing.
Once more time. It's too bad because I made this special for this. So.
Oh well.
See if it opens up in the right place. You're not seeing a black screen?
Unfortunately not. Is it a huge file, Isabel?
It's a movie. It's a little movie. It's not that big. It's like 19 megabytes.
19 I'm wondering if someone could, if you could send it to, would that send it to me and I could present it. So in the meanwhile, we'll have someone else present first. Would that, if you really want to show it, then would that work?
Okay.
Okay. So let's yeah, because it sounds like you prepared a lot, so we don't want to miss that.
Thank you.
Okay. So then while we're doing that, Shino Yomani, would you be able to start us off? That'd be wonderful. And Isabel and I will work on the video. Try to get that.
Can I share my screen?
Okay, yes.
Before I start, I think I have to have the scarf like Reverend Yu. Because he is so cute today. Okay, I think I'm ready. My topic is questioning. It's in the 4 articles to progress. So in the scriptures, Buddhahood, verse 20, there's a conversation between Master Sotaesan and one of his disciples, Eumkwang. And they talked about the pine tree. And when Eumkwang asked Master Sotaesan, oh, I want to bring that pine tree to our headquarters. And Master Sotaesan said, oh, you still discriminate between yours and others and ours and others. And he said, it's because you did not find our original home of the grand universe. And Eumkwang asked him, then what can I do to find my way to the original home, the grand universe? And how do I become its owner? And the founding master answered, one may enter by acquiring the key of the 3 great powers. That key is forged through belief, zeal, questioning, and dedication. So today my topic is the third, the questioning is one of the important element of the key, which is the key of the 3 great powers. So let's find where it is, the questioning. You see the doctrinal chart, which we learned at the first time of this class. So threefold study is the key to the Ilwonsang, the universal home. And under the threefold study, there's an article, 8 articles. And in the red box, there's the questioning. So questioning means wanting to discover and know what we do not know about human affairs and universal principles, which is the motive force that reveals what we are ignorant of when we try to accomplish anything. So here in this definition, we can see questioning means wanting to discover and wanting to know, to accomplish something that I really want. And to accomplish that, we need to know about human affairs and universal principles. Then what is the human affairs and universal principles? We learned when we studied about the inquiry, but I just want to check the definition of human affairs and universal principles again. So human affairs means the right and wrong, benefit and harm among human beings. So it's always really happening in our daily lives. So what if we know what is right and wrong, and what could be the benefit or harm? That would be really great. And the universal principles means the great and small, being and non-being of all things in the universe. Great means the original essence of all things in the universe. Small means the myriad phenomena are distinguished by their shapes and forms. Being and non-being is the everything around us, which is keep changing. Let me read the description in the scriptures. The cycle of nature's 4 seasons of spring, summer, fall, and winter, as well as wind, clouds, rains, dew, frost, and snow, birth, aging, sickness, and death of all things, and the transformations of creation and destruction, prosperity, and decay. So I thought about how can we practice the questioning. So I found some questions from the definition of the questioning. Number 1, what do I want to accomplish? And number 2, do I really want it? And number 3, why do I want it? And number 4, how can I accomplish it? And number 5, what do I do not know about human affairs and universal principles? And 6, do I really want to know about? There are 6 training subjects for inquiry. It's in the Dharma of fixed term training. They are scripture, lecturing, conversation, cases for questioning, the principle of the nature, and keeping the fixed term diary. So let's see the cases for questioning. Cases for questioning means to inquire into and be evaluated on topics that create doubt regarding the universal principles, the human affairs, and hwadus, its keywords, enunciated by past Buddhas and enlightened masters. And this cases for questioning intended for practitioners who are engaged in a profound stage of inquiry to attain a clear analysis of human affairs or universal principles. So we can see how can we practice, how do we train ourselves of the cases for questioning, the way, and what can we have the doubt regarding on, and the purpose of this practice. So because we studied about human affairs and universal principle before, here I more focused on hwadu, the keywords. It's enunciated by past Buddhas and enlightened masters. And the third Het Dharma master, Dasan, said, hwadu is the key of great enlightenment. If we practice the hwadu, we can get the great wisdom, which is the great enlightenment. And we have, according to, as Reverend Yu talked in his Dharma talk, we have essential cases for questioning in the principle book. So I thought about then how do I practice the questioning? So I asked myself, what do I want to accomplish and why? I really want to attain Buddhahood. So inwardly, I can free from birth and death. And I can work for around me and the world in gratitude outwardly. Be free from birth and death, it's really significant matter for me, because it's not just a simple birth and death. As you know, it can be my ego, the birth of death of my ego. Yes. And then I want to have, why? Because I want to be not competitive happy. I want to be eternally the really happy, to be free from good or bad and male or female and wholesome and unwholesome. I think that liberation state is a real happiness, which is not competitive. To get that happiness, I think I really need the wisdom and compassion, its blessings. Because I live eternal life, and this life is operated by the principle of cause and effect. So to live in this life, I want to get the Buddhahood. I need to get wisdom and compassion. Then how do I practice questioning? I thought about my hwadu. These days, my hwadu are mostly three. Number one is, what is this? What is breathing? what is listening now? What is feeling this pain? What is this? This part really helps me to be in this present moment. For example, I wrote mom here. A few weeks ago, I called my mom, and she was one of the member of Chongno County. And for some issues in that county, my mom had really struggled time, and because others verbally attacked, my mom got really hurt and she got panic disorder. She was really hard and she cried and she worried about me, but she said, I didn't want to say this, but I really need you. When I heard about that, I was so sad and I was in panic. What should I do? Do I have buy the flight ticket to go to my mom? Because my brother has his own family and he just got the baby. So he is so busy in the other state. My mom lives in Seoul. So for her, I'm the only one who can support her. So I was in the panic. And that time, because I realized that I couldn't do anything in this moment, I just talked about what is this? What is this? Who is thinking this? What is this? Who is feeling this pain? And that moment, I realized that there's really nothing. It's just emptiness. When I think about this Hwadu, there is no mom and no myself and no America and no South Korea. So it really helped me to be centered. I didn't mean that I ignored my mom. It helped me to be centered, really centered. Then I could find myself, and then I could call my mom again with my calm mind, and I could call my stepfather and my younger brother, and we had some plan. We could make some plan for my mom. How do we support? So this Hwadu, because it really helped me to be in this present moment, it really works for me. And my second Hwadu is the myriad dharmas return to one. To what does the one return? And my third Hwadu is transmission verse, being and non-being into being that things. And other human affairs and universal principles all the time. And I'd like to mention about the second Hwadu, the myriad dharmas return to one. To what does the one return? Because it's the first step of involved in seeing the nature. It is the first step. The second Dharma master Changsen said there are 5 steps involved in seeing the nature. So number 1, realizing the real nature of the myriad dharmas, return to one. If I think with my brain or just knowledge, it's mine. It's simple. But when I really think about this, I still really don't know where the myriad dharmas return to. I don't know. So I still cannot. I realize that I still don't pass the first step. But it's good for me, because it helps me to be in the present moment. And the second, if you already passed the first gate, then there's a second step, knowing the news about the true voidness. If you pass the second, there's a third, seeing the truth of marvelous existence. And the fourth step, performing the practice of maintaining the experience. And the last, utilizing it by great capacity and great application. I talked about the Hwadu, how do I practice the questioning? And my second way of practice questioning is evaluation. If I have questioning of spiritual work, I ask my Dharma teachers and friends about how did I handle my mind and my awakenings and impressions. And if I have questioning of schoolwork where I work, then I ask my supervisor or different working groups, and I find some webinars that I can get good information related with my work. And the third way is keeping a fixed term diary. I keep my mindful item, and as well as handling of functioning of my body and mind and awakenings and impressions. So there's example of evaluation. About a week ago, I did not answer to myself, how do I purify my self-consciousness? It's not, I never studied the physiology, not the physiology, psychology. So I talked about we need to purify our self-consciousness many times, but I really don't know how. How do I purify my self-consciousness? I didn't ask my Dharma teacher right after I had this question. I thought about this question again and again, and I wrote a diary. And I asked my Dharma teacher with my diary, I studied this to answer to my question, and this is the result. What do you think? And my teacher, one of my teachers told me, one who wants to purify one's self-consciousness should finish repentance by action and repentance by principle. I think we're gonna study this PWB second course next spring semester. So I hope to see you all next semester. So this is the example of how do I practice and get evaluation. This is me. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Shino. I love that last photo too.
Finish.
Okay. Can everyone see this? Okay. Oh, okay, here we go.
Can you stop that, please?
Oh,
Can you stop
okay.
it?
Yes.
Start it from the beginning. I want to say something about that. Sorry, my microphone was not on.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so so this is just something that it's completely impromptu. I just happen to have my camera. It's just my cell phone, so not to look at any of the technical stuff on this. It's just purely an impromptu thing. And what I want you to do, everybody, is to please just see it with completely open mind, not your rational mind. Just see if this says anything to you, okay? And Grace, I didn't hear the sound. It should have come before the image. You hear the sound?
You'll hear it now.
Okay, great. Thank you. I don't hear the sound.
Can you hear the sound anywhere? Or do you
No.
hear like a wind or anything like that?
I
Yeah,
hear
but-
wind.
No, but there's music.
I hear wind.
There's music?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on. Oh my God, this is crazy.
I can hear, yeah, I think it was only, let me just play a little bit more just to see.
Oh, no, I know what happened. I'm sorry. This is just really a mess. I sent you the wrong one. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Then Isabel, should we ask Jane, would you like to go last then? Is that okay, Isabel?
Yeah, please.
No problem, not a problem. So then just send me the file, and then in the meantime, we will go to James.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, good evening, everybody. For my presentation, I just wanted to share my reflection on the reading that we did this week on Thunderous Silence. And so I'll go ahead and read. I'll try to be as animated as possible. All right, it says, growing up, my mom always told me that I should be a journalist because I always asked a lot of questions. I used to annoy everyone, especially my brother. I asked questions just about everything. I was most fascinated about my ancestors and about how my family lived in Mexico and Ecuador. I love maps, and so I would ask lots of questions about states, countries, and people living in different parts of the world. In middle school and high school, I became really interested in history and politics. And as I looked at the environment around me, I began to ask lots of questions about why society was so unequal. Why did my community of East Los Angeles lack the resources that other parts of LA had? Was it because East LA was comprised of people who spoke Spanish or who were Mexican or other Latinx immigrants or who were poor? Why didn't the city fix the streetlights or the broken sidewalks on my neighborhood or surrounding streets? Why didn't the schools in my neighborhood have old books and not enough to take home? What was racism all about? To this day, I still ask these questions, but these days I ponder these questions silently in my mind. Most of my questions today are not about history or politics or racism or injustice. I feel that many of these questions have been answered through my studies in college. These days, the questions I ponder most in my mind are spiritual questions. It's the reason why I signed up for this class. Though I grew up Catholic and attended Catholic schools my entire life, Catholicism didn't give me the space to truly ponder deep spiritual questions such as, who am I? Or what is my purpose in life? The answers to these questions were already given to me. I was told that I am a child of God, and my purpose in life is to follow God by living out the 10 Commandments and the sacraments of the Catholic Church. I was told very early on by my priests and nuns who taught me that my purpose in life is to get to heaven. After all, I was constantly told that Jesus died for my sins, and I was reminded of this every year since my birthday always fell on Holy Week. This was accepted as truth, especially in my Mexican community, where murals of the Virgen of Guadalupe were painted on just about every street, and pictures of the Virgen were in everyone's home, including my own. I have to admit that I still have a painting of the Virgen of Guadalupe in my home that I brought back from the Basilica in Mexico City. There's even a Spanish novela called La Rosa de Guadalupe today, which I still think is hilarious. My experience in Won Buddhism, however, has been very different. It has challenged me to truly examine the human condition and all phenomena through a very introspective and contemplative experience. Won Buddhism has challenged me to work with my mind, to practice mind practice, to cultivate the field of my mind, to ponder the seeds and the weeds of my mind, to ponder Buddha nature, to ponder impermanence and permanence, to ponder the source of suffering and the attainment of enlightenment, to ponder who and or what is Ilwan Song. The biggest question Won Buddhism has led me to ponder or inquire about is this question: who am I? This is a question so simple, but so profound. Contemplating who I am lies at the experience and journey ultimately come back to this question: who am I? I have answered this question very differently depending on the stage of my life. As a child, I answered it as the son of my parents, a brother, a friend, someone who has a guardian angel. a Mexican and Ecuadorian boy, or as a fan of action movies. As a teenager, I answered this question as an athlete, a college-bound student, a proud Chicano, or a fanatic fan of Notre Dame football and the LA Dodgers. As a young adult, I answered the question of who am I as someone who is culturally centered, socially just, someone focused on educational equity and justice. And as a professional, I answered that I am a social justice educator, a passionate urban school principal, a mentor, a coach, a community leader, and someone who is spiritual. But today, I have to admit, the truth is I don't know who I am exactly. Studying Won Buddhism has turned everything I know about how to answer this question upside down. Buddhism teaches that the self doesn't exist. Buddhism teaches us that we, like all reality, are empty. In his book, Thunderous Silence, Reverend Yu explains that we are comprised of 5 aggregates that make up the components of our personality or our individuality. Reverend Yu writes that, quote, according to the Buddha's words, humans are a collection of physical and mental constituents, 1 material and 4 non-material aspects of our experience, end quote. These aggregates are form or body, sensation, perception, impulses, and consciousness. Together, these 5 aggregates give us a sense of self. All of these aggregates are interdependent. They dependently rise and have conditional nature. We are all each aggregate individually and all of these aggregates collectively. I have never pondered that I'm a sensation or perception, or that these experiences inform samkhara, my mental formations, impulse, volition, or will. All of this together creates my sense of consciousness or awareness. I have always understood that consciousness has always been a part of who I am in the sense that it serves as the collection of my stored memories, understandings, and experiences. Reverend Yu writes that, quote, in our lives, consciousness plays the most important role. All of our thoughts, actions, and impulses are stored in our consciousness in the form of seeds. This consciousness, storing different karmic seeds, differentiates ourselves from others and links this life to our next life, end quote. Conceptually, this makes sense. But Buddhism teaches that all of these aggregates are impermanent and constantly changing, just like a river. The river is there, but it is different at each moment. This means that each aggregate of who makes up the self is constantly changing. On page 47 of Thunderous Silence, Reverend Yu again writes, quote, everything exists as a flux. Impermanence is the nature of all things. All existence is conditional and momentary. Things arise from nothingness and return to nothingness, end quote. So what is really left of myself is nothing. The idea of an ego entity is nothing more than just a mental construct or an illusion. As Reverend Yu states, quote, self only exists as a name or an idea. In the absolute sense, it does not exist at all, end quote. So if physical and mental aggregates are illusions of the truth or reality, then who am I since the self doesn't exist? I know I am not my college degrees. I am not my achievements. I am not my profession. I am not my body. I am not my emotions, and I am not my mind. I now understand that my mind is made up of concepts and thoughts that my consciousness latches onto to define my sense of self. But even this is empty and does not capture the truth of who I am. So I am left with the article of inquiry to help me contemplate this question. Just like scientists who pose a question to investigate to guide their inquiry process, I too am left with the process of deep inquiry about the spiritual question of who I am. If I am, quote, no self, then, and if I am empty, then who am I? Rather than relying on scientific inquiry, I must rely on experiencing stillness by cultivating the mind through dedicated sitting meditation to answer this spiritual question. Reverend Yu reminds us that the Dhammapada verse 282 states that, quote, from meditation springs wisdom. Without meditation, wisdom wanes, end quote. And Psalm 46 of the Christian Bible states, quote, "Be still, and then you will know I am God," end quote. So the scriptures of Won Buddhism define inquiry or questioning as, quote, "wanting to discover and to know what we do not know about human affairs and universal principles, which is the motive force that reveals what we are ignorant of when we try to accomplish anything," end quote. So I can say that my eagerness to discover the answer to the question of who am I thus far has led me to stillness. Stillness, I hope, will allow me to cultivate the Parajana Paramita that lies within my spirit to discover the truth of who I am. Our studies thus far have conceptually taught me that we are all Buddha, that we are all the truth of Ilwan Song. But understanding this conceptually and understanding this spiritually is something completely different. So, in conclusion, my inquiry journey now is to deeply cultivate my innate wisdom so that I can spiritually experience what it means to have the Buddha in me and the Ilwan Song that lies within my being, so that I can hopefully answer the question one day of who am I? Thank you.
Thank you for that, James. Thank you so much.
Yes, I was not able to send that to you. It's impossible to do. It's too big a file.
Okay.
So I can skip that, which is too bad, but I can, if you can still see me, I
Yes.
can bring this one in. I don't understand why the other one doesn't come in. Okay. Okay. Well, can you see me? You can see me, right? Thank you, everybody, for being so patient with me tonight. I'm sorry that I couldn't share that because I made it especially for tonight, and it was actually a visual koan that I made for everybody. So I'm sorry, but I'm here. And it's a very short lecture because I was counting on showing the film before and just talking about it a little bit. So it's going to be just a few minutes. So, okay. So something shifted in me this week, something major. Though in truth, it had been happening for a long time, years, really. But it clicked last night. I had been seeing and feeling more and more that I was two people. One, the person I grew up to be, my personality, and the other one, more aware, clear-minded, able to act from the wisdom I have acquired. What shifted last night was my allegiance to them. Reading The Moon of the Mind Rises in Empty Space initially triggered the shift. Since then, a question inhabited my mind. Something in the manner in which Master Kyung-san explains the Ilwong Sang vow began to chip away layers of resistance in me. Resistance to grow, to assume in my behavior the changes occurring in my mind. Yet last night, several pieces of the puzzle fell into place, creating a much clearer picture of what I wanted and needed to see. It's been a lifelong search. It began when, as a child, growing up in a Catholic environment in Caracas, Venezuela, I would attend Sunday Mass with my parents and sisters. Listening to the gospel, I was completely absorbed. Every word was an inspiration that made me wonder at the nature of things and opened up a window into a reality of beauty and love. But most of what Jesus proposed was disregarded at home. We lived a life of material well-being, and though my parents were socially and conscious and did their part to help others, my father in his work and my mother in his voluntary activities, the core of life strictly followed the social conventions and bowed to the status quo. Family interrelations provoked frequent explosions of anger and impatience while I silently questioned it all. I woke up when I was 25 through a slow and painful event, one of those experiences that transform us. My 3-year-old son got sick with a facial paralysis. I had just given birth to my daughter, so my hormones were in full bloom. None of the doctors in Venezuela were providing a satisfactory diagnosis. So I decided to bring my son to the US, first to LA, and then to New York City, where we spent weeks of exhaustive exams that delivered a terrifying diagnosis. My husband dealt with it by hiding. My own family confronted my every decision with little understanding. Gratefully, it all concluded well, but I was changed. The world had stopped being what I had known, and I was in new territory where I had to fend for myself. Or so I thought. Today, after many trials in which I have been a kind of heroine fighting the world, I understand it all differently. We are never alone. In fact, there is no we. Instead, we are vehicles for Il One to manifest itself. We are instruments. We have little will of our own other than what we need to find the understanding and the courage to surrender ourselves to the will of Il One. Everything we do is geared to that target. We may hit it or miss it, but that is the target, whether we are aware of it or not. That is why our vow is so important. What we are doing in this life is finding our target. And how can we hit it if we don't know what or where it is? The part of me that grew up Catholic, privileged, and clever has always wanted to assert herself, no matter the circumstances. The other part wants to go deeper, to figure it out for herself, to wander in the realm of what is divine and act from there. Sote-san said, rather than eliminating desires, you should expand them. Once your petty desires are transformed into a great vow, they will naturally subside as you focus single-mindedly on your vow. Then you will inevitably lead a life of tranquility and comfort. It's time to give the helm to the wise part of me and let the other part go, being thankful for the service it provided me up to this point of the journey. To achieve the conversion, I look to my habits and follow Master Kyung-san's advice. We develop habits thoughtlessly, thinking little of them, and this becomes a trap for us, preventing us from ever being free. Breaking those bad habits is a shortcut to Buddhahood. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. Thank you to all today for your wonderful presentations. And I'm just going to take a moment. If anyone has any sharing after hearing these presentations, any reflections or words of encouragement, please do share. We'll take a few minutes to do that. It was so rich. All of them were such rich content and sharing and personal stories. I want to thank you all for that. I learned a lot about you through these stories. Mhm. We went to Venezuela, we went to South Korea, we went to Mexico. You know, it's amazing. Like such a diverse group. I love this. This is, and then coming together like this with the Dharma. Yes, Desi.
I thank each and every one of you. So it was really an experience to listen to each speaker. Such different energy, each person. And just to be able to feel it and experience it in the moment was, thank you so much. Very, very giving. Reverend Shino, I have to tell you, I'm ever since coming to the temple, I never really smiled. The person who taught me to smile was you. And so just keep on, how I can do it naturally now. And that's something that has no price. And the way that you're able to inject that feeling throughout your talks is, thank you so much. See, Isabel, thank you so much as well. Just so heartfelt, and I can feel it from here. And such a generous story to share. Thank you. And James as well. It was very, very emotive. Very emotive. And thank you for taking me on your personal journey. Yeah, really resonated with me.
Go ahead, Tiffany. Yeah.
There we go. And hopefully no video will cut in this week. So thank you all so much for your presentations. I think Desi said it beautifully, so I won't repeat her great words. But I was wondering, Reverend Shino, could we have a copy of your PowerPoint? Because at least for myself, I think I would find it helpful as I continue to study what questions to ask. And for all the presenters, whomever feels inclined to answer, in this day and time, truth seems to be varied, and not speaking in the political sense, but truly just in the sense of seeing one another as human beings, and the challenges that seem to be coming up, not just in the US, but really all around the world, that leads to the fracturing not only of families, but of whole societies. And I was wondering, as you were reflecting on your personal journeys, especially coming from such diverse countries outside of the US, or influences from outside of the US, how would you apply the Dharma directly in your day-to-day actions when it regards questioning? Oh, sorry.
Trying to understand your question a little bit more. I think I missed the most important.
Sure. Just how would you apply your experiences to being able to question and engage people when truth means different things to different people? Meaning I have one perspective, but someone has a different one. And how do you use the Dharma to meet in the middle?
To me, it seems like there's really one truth. How people see things is a different story. It doesn't necessarily mean they're true. But I think that we have to be incredibly open and understand that everybody's in a different place and in a different different stage of the path. And the most important thing is to listen and really see the part of that person that is positive, that can receive something and go there. And we're always going to find a place where we're the same, because we are. But we're always going to find that. I mean, find that place where we're human. I always used to say that to my husband, because he was contentious in his attitude, and we would go places and find difficulty in people from other backgrounds and culture and places. And I always used to say, find the human fiber, find the human being in each person, because it's always there. So that would be, I think that's my approach.
Thank you, Isabel.
I would add for me, what I've taken so far from the Dharma is really about putting compassion into practice, and really, before we're suspending all judgment and suspending all types of perceptions that the mind takes me to an automatic habit of forming judgment based on perception that I have of a comment made or one's beliefs, and really mindfully practice breathing and being compassionate and listening to others. And similar to Isabel, finding the grain of humanity that we all share and building off of that. Here in LA, it's a very tough turmoil in terms of, I'll just use education, because we're such a diverse community here in LA, and there's a major, like across the country, but there's a real huge achievement gap, an educational gap among specific immigrant youth and English learners that, just looking today with the district folks at the high D and F rate, it's like over 85% of students have D's or F's, and they're not showing up to online classes. And so many people are blaming students and blaming communities and blaming poverty and blaming this and that. And so I really have had to test myself to really suspend judgment, breathe, listen, and seek the compassion first in others to tell me a little bit more about what leads you to believe that or to feel that. Let me see if I can feel that with them and find some common ground with them, and be able to share my own perspective as well in a way that allows people an entry point to find common ground with me. So I think that's the best way I can kind of, or at least that's where I'm at this point in my life. Thank you for sharing, Tiffany. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a very powerful example. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy, and thank you, Tiffany, for your beautiful words. And definitely, I'm gonna send my PowerPoint to Reverend Grace, then she's gonna share with you. And when you asked that question, one of the memory arose in my mind. It was quite many years ago. And it happened at the school where I work, and my English is not perfect, but that time was worse. But because I'm pretty much good at the numbers, I'm working at the One Institute Finance office. So I did my job, and finance, it doesn't need perfect English, so I could do well. But there was some miscommunication, and everything turned out I was right, but one of our staff, she misunderstood, and she didn't talk to me, but she reported every staff, almost every staff, including the seniors, except me. It was Shino's fault. It's because she cannot speak in English very well. And she is not the expert of the finance. And so it's all her fault. That was her point. When I finally realized what she did, I got shocked because we had just that issue. Without that, I thought we really have a good relationship at the office. So I cried and I lost my mind and my self-esteem digging the earth. You know what I mean? It was really almost to get to the center of the earth. So how did I figured it out? Number one, I should find myself the first. I should find my peace. I should find my center. That time, cause I got too much shocked and I was so embarrassed. There was no time to, we are the Buddha and we are all interconnected. No, I couldn't think about that. So the first of all, I should protect myself. I should find myself. That time, Kwan helped me, but communicate with other, my seniors and my supervisors really helped me. I think that is the ways of inquiry and questioning. It's one of the human affairs. And when I found myself, then I could talk with her. With my calm mind, I could respond quite well when she responded me with her embarrassing. So I could made her calm and she could understand what happened. And she said, I'm sorry for my misunderstanding. So it turned really great. So when I had that kind of issue, I think being centered is the most important. To find my Ilwansang state is the most important. And it's too long, but let me finish it with this story. When I was assigned to Namon Temple in South Korea, I worked at the Namon Temple and also the multicultural center, which is under the temple. And there was a Cambodian mom who helped me, and her Korean was not perfect. So, as a minister, I thought I was so nice to her. I asked her, if you don't know about Korean, please feel free to ask me. But when I moved to America, I realized that I was not that kind enough. I didn't talk to her slowly. I didn't talk about the definition of some really hard to understand words. So through these experience, givers becomes receiver and receiver becomes giver. I could totally understand. So thank you. It was really a good question. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I like
Wow.
that. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Wow, everyone's has such rich stories and such great lessons. So we're going to turn it to Reverend Yu now.
Okay, thank you for the wonderful presentation. What is the path to have a great life where the happiness or freedom that we enjoy can be everlasting, perpetual, and unconditional? The path is discovering Ilwansang in ourselves and be united with that. That's why we always chant Ilwansang vow. How can we become united with Ilwansang? Threefold practice: spiritual cultivation of spirit, cultivation of wisdom, choice in action. So as a Master Desant, third head Dharma master, said, different spiritual tradition labeled a little different way, but the path to be united with our true self is always the same, threefold practice, threefold training. How can we carry out? How can we perform threefold practice very well? What's the behind the motivating force for us to carry out the threefold practice well, and so that we can be free from more suffering and distress? The behind the motivating force, our founding master called that 4 articles to progress: faith, zeal, questioning mind, and the dedication. Faith, zeal, questioning mind, or doubt. In Zen Buddhism, they usually call that 3 pillars of Zen. 3 pillars of Zen. With these 3 pillars, we can reach great enlightenment. So our founding master asked sincerity or dedication. It's 4 articles to progress. So that's where we are. We are studying about the question or the questioning mind. At the age of 11, Einstein was presented as a gift a compass, small compass. It's just so strange. The needle he disturbed, but it always indicates south and north. Even though he was very little, it's just so strange. Wow. Apart from gravity, this mouse can drop. Apart from gravity, in nature, there is another force. When I saw compass, it was not mysterious at all. Well, that's the needle should indicate the south and west. That's a compass, how the compass work. But to the mind of the Einstein, it's just so strange. At the age of, he recorded, at the age of 16, in some suburban area of Rome, he rode a bicycle, very steep decline area. He thought to himself, the world looks a little different when he rode the bicycle very fast, but he thought to himself, if he rides the bicycle almost at the speed of light, how the world would appear. Have you ever thought about that? I've never thought about that. But Einstein continued thought about it. Probably that's the founding motive, why he discovered in his mid-20s the theory of relativity. What is a Buddha, or who is a Buddha? Buddha is the one who realized, who attained a great enlightenment, who see into the mystery of the universe. In order to get the answer, what are we supposed to do? In order to get the answer, whether it's just a mystery in science or in some metaphysical word, like some koan or whatever, we have to ask first. Without asking, how can you get the answer? You can raise questions about the fluctuation of the stock price, how much, I heard from yesterday news, the Bitcoin price is soaring these days. There are lots of things we are interested in or show. But as for the fundamental questions, which is related with our becoming free from suffering and distress, those fundamental questions we need to ask very seriously. when Buddha attained the great enlightenment at the age of 35, you know all the story. And when he left the forest where he performed lots of ascetic practice, and the wooded area where he sat under the Bodhi tree, one village person saw that young man, Siddhartha, and asked, he looked very different. So he asked, who are you? Or what are you? Buddha replied, you asked the wrong questions. You needed to ask, who am I? What am I? So in our mind, in our life, we may have lots of questions, but many questions are important. We cannot deny. How can I practice my meditation well? How can I break my bad habits skillfully? How can I get along with my spouse, with my friend? All important questions. But the most important question is we have to ask who we really are, the nature of our mind. Why? According to the Buddha's word, only after we have seen into our true nature, original mind, we can be free from suffering for good. Just like the first passage of the Hatha Sutra, when Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, when he saw 5 aggregates are empty, he became free from all suffering and distress. Hatha Sutra does not say he become alleviated from most of the suffering. It says he became free from all suffering and distress. That's why our Master Desan, the third head Dharma master of Won Buddhism, said the most urgent thing in our life is to be enlightened. It's not for Buddhist priest. It's not for some serious practitioner. As long as we search for freedom and happiness, which is perpetual, we have to see into our original nature. Those enlightenment starts from our raising a question, raising a great question. Bo Gua is one of the greatest Chinese Buddhist master. He's a little eccentric guy, strange guy. He always practiced meditation on top of the tree, on big bough, on the branch, he practiced meditation. So one day, one student approached the master, why are you practicing in that dangerous place? The Zen master said, I think you are in a more dangerous place, which means since you do not know who you really are, where you have come and where you are gone. He replied in a very spiritual way. So what kind of a question are we supposed to ask? What are we supposed to ask? There is one Buddhist master, Dasannim, who passed away several years ago. He's a great Buddhist master. When he was a leader, he was born and raised in the rural area. His mother asked him, why don't you catch a chicken? To the little boy, chicken is fast. They run for their life. It's very hard to do. So he first closed his fence of the door, front door. In his yard, he chased after chicken more than 1 hour, but he could not get it. He got completely exhausted, and he rested under a tree in his house. A couple of minutes later, when his mind was so focused and calm, because it's a physical movement, a very, very strong question arose in his mind. Why does that animal was born as a chicken? Why am I born as a human? It is not the level of a children's curiosity. It was a very, very strong question. Or one of the greatest Buddhist master in Korea is Na Ong. He was the king's mentor. And when he was 16 years old, he lost his mother. His mother passed away. He asked to the village people, where did his mother go after death? Nobody could give him satisfactory answer. That's the reason that he became Buddhist monastics. So whether it is who am I or why am I born, there are lots of questions, but our founding master said to the practitioner's mind, for example, when the pond has lots of ripples, you cannot see the bottom of the lake. But when the ripples disappear, you can see what is at the bottom, or the moon can be reflected very accurately. Likewise, when your mind becomes very focused and calm, lots of spiritual questions arise. This question, that question. Then, just like all rivers eventually reach to the one ocean, the ultimate question is what? What is this? What is this? We usually call that mind, consciousness, awareness, but just the name. What is the reality of that? From that mind, consciousness, or whatever, it is labored, suffering, happiness, frustration, jealousy, whatever kind of branches arise. What is that root? That is the ultimate question. What is this? Imoko. That is the Buddhist ultimate question. So, you know, at the tombstone, it's a granite. When you polish the granite, some tombstones looks like a mirror. Mirror? Why? If you polish the tombstone repeatedly, actually it becomes so fine and clean, clear, it works like a mirror. Our mind is exactly like that. Whether it is working with the koan or meditation, if we polish, clean our mind again and again, even though we have a lot of thoughts or doubts, but if we continue to that, our mind is really like the mirror. So that we can, our original nature can be reflected. When you see that tombstone, you can see your face very naturally, without any effort. A very deep meditation usually is followed by a great question. Without a great question, you can absorb in deep meditation. But there is some ripples of wandering thoughts. However, you think your meditation go very deep, there's still some waves of some wandering thoughts. It's just like when you see the ocean, wow, today there is no wind. The ocean is so calm and clear, but there are lots of waves on the surface of the ocean. So when you practice meditation, when your mind becomes focused and calm, then lots of questions arise, and that question conversely deepen your meditation. For example, our founding master question was the mystery of the universe. So his mind was so into that question, and because of that question, he entered in deep meditation. As I said, when he was 21, he was standing Sanjinpo ferry landing, waiting for the boat. He stood there all day long. He was not aware the boat actually has arrived. That kind of a meditation and questioning mind cannot be separated. So we can do one by one. We can do it. So from time to time, working with the Quan is very important. So why to us, great question does not arise? The first reason, we have so many thoughts. What is the root of our thoughts? We have so many desires, unwholesome desires and attachments. Buddha used this analogy. If our mind is water, desire, mind tainted with the desire is the water tainted with some color paint. We cannot see the bottom of the water. If we don't have a lot of attachment or desire, if we have a lot of thoughts, for example, learned person, people of knowledge have a lot of wandering thoughts. Their mind is like the water is clear, but it has lots of ripples. They cannot see. That's why meditation and enlightenment cannot be separated. One day, one great Confucian scholar paid a visit to a great Zen master. He would like to know what the essence of Buddhism. Then Zen master treated him a Chinese tea. 2 cups. He poured the Chinese tea, but he kept on flowing. The tea was overflowing. So the Confucian scholar was a little surprised. The master, stop, it's overflowing. The master said, your mind is just like that cup. You have to empty your mind, empty your cup. I think that Chinese master, with just that simple gesture, he taught a lot. It's a teaching. So as was that James or Isabel? How can we calm down our mind? How can we skillfully get rid of our unwholesome desire? As our founding masters suggested, don't bother to get rid of a lot of unwholesome desire. Instead, give rise a great question. Then your petty desire will subside. It's a skillful and easy method. That's why we always chant the Ilwan Sang vow in order to know where we are going, where our life is going, where our mind is going constantly. So give rise to a great question to stay centered in our life. That is one path, and the meditation. And also, when you have When you thought about something before you retired to bed, then the next morning, the thought tended to arise. Likewise, even though we have a lot of unwholesome desire, a lot of wandering thoughts, if we ask some question repeatedly, what is this? What's the sound of one hand clapping? All dharmas return to one. Where does that one return? At first, we conceptually, intellectually work with that. At some point, we really become one with that question. So many Zen masters said before enlightenment, they could see that question in their dream, So we can continue to raise that question. So whenever we have time, when the waiting line is very long at the Walmart, but you can check your email. I sometimes do that, but work with the call. When you drive your car, after 15 or 30 minutes, things become a little boring, but you can turn on the radio, you can chant or work with it. So have a couple of koans and work with that. Then our level of meditation, our level of practice will jump to another level. That's the characteristic of Zen Buddhism. At the same time, the strength of Zen Buddhism, questioning mind. So you can discuss the questioning mind in the small group. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Yu. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'll open up the rooms right now for a small group. There's a lot of great content to work with today.